so concerned of why there's an extra wire hanging on the camera not plugged in. Like, we just aren't doing anything. I'm just talking to myself right now, and I was going to talk about UNSHARP Mask, but you might remember me from one of my previous videos. I've tried to block all those out. Today, we're doing UNSHARP Mask. But first, a lecture. Kyler, when you set the setup, keep the microphone out of frame. Gives you way less work next time. You don't have to, mask all of it out. When it comes to UNSHARP Mask, the first thing you need to know is it's a liar. It is a sharp mask. It's a sharpening tool. It's not a blur. I thought it was a blur when I first threw it on there. It's like unsharp, oh, blur. Basically what it's doing is it's detecting edges a little more, so it's like a find edge, shameless plug, find edge for sharpening. So it looks for edges that would contrast a lot, that would typically be in focus and sharp, and it works on those before it goes off into sharpening everything like the typical Sharpen does. It just starts sharpening literally everything. Much like every effect we've ever gone over, you're going to search in your effect panel, you're going to look for UNSHARP Mask, grab that, throw it on a clip you want to use it on, go up to your effect controls panel, and you're going to have a whopping 3 options: amount, radius, and threshold. Amount is going to determine the amount of sharpness. So you're going to go through 0 to 500, 500 is your max, and it scales upwards from there. So 0 is obviously 0 sharp. It's whatever you shot it at, that's where you're at. 500 is so incredibly sharp. Please don't ever use 500 unless you're making a deep fried meme. Before I dive into what radius really is doing, I want to reiterate that UNSHARP Mask is basically a find edge for sharp, meaning it's looking for those high contrast points. So if I were to put my finger on my red shirt, it's going to grab the contrast points. So obviously red to pale. It's going to grab different colors. So what radius is doing is setting how thick of a radius that it's going to sharpen, that it's going to be able to sharpen on. So 0 to 500, 0 is obviously like it's on the line, not really doing a thickness at all. But when you scale it upwards, it gets thicker and thicker. If you do it to 500, it's basically the entire image. It's not worth using at that point. Then threshold is kind of, sort of not useful. It's more of a refine. Your points are from 0 to 1, and threshold is saying where is it allowed to check. So UNSHARP Mask, you can use it as like you can create a layer mask on it and select a certain area. If you don't do that, it's grabbing the entire image and seeing where it needs to go the most. So it's looking for those high contrast points that it wants to sharpen first, and then it goes outward. So threshold is saying, hey, at 0, check the whole image. Really bad shot, I need a lot of help. 1 is saying, no, this was a perfect shot, I don't even know why I added this effect to it. It doesn't show where you're at, so you start sliding the 0 to 1 or the 1 to 0, and it goes for a while, and then all of a sudden it's at 0, or all of a sudden it's at 1. So just make sure you click that little drop down arrow, and it gives you a slider, and you can actually see where you're going. You'll see a little bit of change in it, refine it. It's a good secondary check. If you do everything correctly and you refine it in the other 2 sliders though, you shouldn't even need to touch it. But again, it's a good secondary check. Now you may be wondering, Tyler, how in the world have you let your camera boy get you out of focus? You're so pretty, you need to be in focus at all points. So Kyler, on the editing side, is gonna take me and try to recover this a little bit. It's not perfect. Whenever you can, anything you can do in camera before you get to post, do it. It's always easier. It's most of the time easier. But for this example, you see I'm a little out of focus. You can use the UNSHARP Mask to slowly regain a little bit of sharpness in it. Again, focus your camera. Make sure you have everything set. If you can't do it manually, do it automatic if you have that option. But as you can see, you can recover it slightly. So if you have a shot that's not perfect, maybe don't use Sharpen. Use UNSHARP Mask. Try to fix it. I'm gonna go kill him. UNSHARP Mask as a whole is a really useful sharpening effect. I would prefer that over Sharpen any day. Again, one more reiteration. Always focus your camera. If you can't If it's already occurred, cool, UNSHARP Mask. If you want to add a little bit more punch to something, cool, UNSHARP Mask. It's not gonna fix your problems. Your problem's there. You can fix it a little bit, but it's never perfect. Focus your camera. Neuter your cats so they're not running around the house as you try to film something to learn more about what you're doing. And I love this.